there, Taurus. Thank you for being here. Now, the reading I'm doing for you guys is slightly different to the first four I did, which was Pisces, Scorpio, Gemini, and Aquarius. The cards are chosen randomly by the fact that I choose from the astrology deck, and I just randomly choose the cards. So you are next. You're the sixth reading, and I have decided to, for your reading, as with Sagittarius, I am using the Enlightenment card by Chuck Spezzano. Okay, he's a psychology of vision. He has he's been around for years and years, and he does very empowering, very powerful workshops for couples, particularly to do with the psychology of relationships. So I'm using these cards, and I've chosen them because we are midway now with Venus retrograde, and I feel that it is a time of when we're doing a lot of personal healing. A lot of observations are personally being made in how we're interacting with each other, both in relationships of all kinds, particularly personal relationships. So yeah, without further ado, and I also have only the 3 cards on the table for you. I am undecided which deck I'm going to use for yourself. I think I'm going to go for the Surrender deck, but well, let's have a look. Okay, so opening the first card, interestingly. Okay, so you now have here in inverted, which I'll be looking at both ways. This is a card of somebody who is controlling a situation. So you could be coming out of a situation that has been rather controlling. All right, I will say this. It's either in a relationship or you are the person who's controlling. Okay, now if you're a cross watcher or whoever, okay, you're going to have to take whatever I say to fit with you if it resonates, obviously. So I'm feeling that some of you have felt that definitely been controlled almost like a puppet, and maybe had been in a situation you've been submissive and allowing some circumstances, it could be a family member as well, a sibling, or a situation in your life for some time, control you. Okay, now it is time for you to release it, and because it's commonly inverted and it's the opening card, I would say it could be hopefully that you are actually releasing control. Okay, or you're also releasing control maybe that you have over somebody, and you've realized that out of fear you have been controlling an issue. Okay, we only control another or control a situation when we're holding on to life quite tightly, or to a person, and we're resisting maybe our feelings. So here right now there could be a need, I would say, perhaps to have a conversation with somebody, if you are in this situation yourself, and see if you can resolve it through that communication, or perhaps leave that situation. But I will say you have come to an awareness and an understanding that this control situation has been controlling you. Okay, the other thing with control in a relationship is you find yourself in a power struggle, always manipulating or being manipulated in a situation, and some of you could actually feel that you've been imprisoned by a person in your life that could have been manipulating you. Okay, and it can be very subtle in communication as well, but you have to understand when somebody denies you your own voice, or even choices, or is always choosing for you, or even making choices on behalf of the relationship, so they say, that is a form of control. So be mindful. Okay, I don't know who this will be speaking to, but this is your opening card, Taurus. All right, let's have a look at the next one. Okay, wow. Okay, beautiful. They go hand in hand, actually, and this is a good point here. You always tend to be controlling when you're holding on to something as well. Okay, so when you're afraid of letting go, when you're afraid of perhaps letting go of the rules, or even here, I mean, if you look at this figure here, some of you could actually be waiting for somebody to come into your life, maybe waiting for that phone call, or whatever. You know, when you hold on to somebody too much, tightly, there is that same sense of suffocation and that control. So definitely here in this relationship, in terms of the current situation, and this is only going to speak to some of you, but be mindful. Okay, for some of you, again, what I'm just getting there is you could be holding on to a position in a job, maybe a job title, and you know that that's outgrown you, or you've outgrown it, and you're still holding on to it. Or some of you actually, as well, as a leader within the role that you have in a work situation, you're actually very controlling and manipulative, and as a manager you could be really failing to do the job very well, and that's becoming to your awareness. Okay, now again, when we're holding on, It is always because you're afraid to let go of control, and that comes also from fear, obviously, and maybe even a lack of, a story, maybe from a childhood when you weren't recognized for being capable, and maybe had no control over the decisions that were being made for you, and you become over controlling. Do be mindful if there's any narcissist in your life, or any possible narcissistic tendencies that you could be playing out. Okay, I'm going to open the other card. Yeah, so like I said, it is from a narrative, a dark story that you're living out of. So something, for some of you, this would have happened maybe when your needs weren't being met, and you felt that you basically were abandoned or neglected. And so now what you do is, in order for you not to feel that pain anymore, you are actually controlling a situation. Okay, so you've got 3 cards here that are telling me a story of possible what's led you to this sort of situation and releasing. Now, on a positive note, and let's just change this whole reading on its head, on the other way around, that you are releasing, okay, a dark story. You've come to realize, you've come to see that this is what you've been doing, that you've actually been manipulating situations, or out of fear that you're controlling, you know, where to go, what to do, when to phone somebody, when not to phone somebody, all that kind of stuff as well, which could also have you being hindered in your behavior. Okay, of course, what that does do is it kills a relationship, all right, or also really helps to, what it tends to do as well is it tends to, like I said, I think before I said, it sort of suffocates it. I'm getting that sense of it loses its natural flow of communication, right? Because everything is so controlled, and it comes from a place, looking at the bottom of the deck here as well, because you've had some expectations, all right, and also fear. And I did say this is your small self, when you're actually feel that something is bigger than you. I think some of you as well, if you were in a relationship where somebody was a bit of a bully, and maybe took control, okay, that was really just in your mind because you projected that fear onto them as well, all right, and therefore they came across as being really scary, or maybe they behaved in a very scary way. And the question to ask yourself is, why am I even here? What is it that I'm doing in this place? Okay, but sometimes we can be subject to being victimized, and stay in a story that doesn't really help us, and it just has us trapped and stuck, and feel that our backs are against the wall. But the good news here is also at the bottom of the deck, I feel like some of you have been doing some work. You've been chipping away at, this is a card of success here. Okay, so little by little you've been actually, sort of maybe confronting this as well, confronting the fear, and it's kind of like feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Okay, so maybe actually, communicating your needs in the relationship, perhaps even letting go of some of the traps that you've allowed yourself to fall into, all right, in an avoidance from a heartbreak, okay, and instead of living out of your truth and more of the vibrant self. Here at the top of the deck, I do have true love as well, and also letting go. And I'm going to open this because I feel like some of you, by letting go of a situation that's actually been controlling you in your relationship, you will eventually come to a place of true love as well. Okay, so this is actually for some of you only. And maybe by letting go, maybe you've let go of the old story, the old myths, and you've been doing the inner work as well. And when you do this, you will actually attract a relationship that really has your one that is actually kind of weaves a beautiful story, rather than something that is very one-sided and sort of has that polarity of sort of living on breadcrumbs, or living out of fear on small bits of movements. When you're in a kind of a very imbalanced relationship, you tend to hold on to the smallest act of kindness from your partner, because you've forgotten the bigger picture of what it's like to be totally embraced by love that is respectful, that is kind, that is actually connected on the heart, soul, physical and mental level. All right, so if some of you are stuck in a relationship, you're holding on maybe to the idea of good sex, or good, maybe an income, maybe you actually got the safety and the security in a relationship, and you've actually handed your power over. Okay, but do know that this is an opportunity for you to be moving into a stronger position by actually letting go of the myths and the stories and the patterns, all right, for wherever you are. Okay, every little step that you take towards healing and actually letting go is going to empower you even more so, Taurus. So I don't know who this is speaking to, and I really hope that this is speaking to. And again, it's not only in your personal love relationships, but also in any of your kind of work relationship, co-workers, all right, and just make sure that you are not holding on too tightly. I just got a voice as well saying something about taking credit. So if somebody's taking credit for your work, all right, or you're taking credit for somebody else's work, to question yourself, why do I need to do this in order to feel successful? Because it is a false sense of security and success, all right? So just know that you have the power to shine and really kind of show up as yourself, the beautiful self. I feel for some of you, though, there is definitely some work to be done. Okay, I won't be... you know, this is straight talking tarot after all, you know, and while I like to empower people, I do feel that there is something here for somebody in particular as well. So let's have a look. I'm just going to choose one, because these have already been shuffled really, really, really well. But I'm just going to choose one card here. Okay, yeah, this is interesting as well. All right, let's have a look at the book. So the creative will come back to that. Here is surrender to the idea you can fix somebody. Okay, that is actually a real form of control as well. Okay, and you're holding on, because when we try and fix somebody, when we always enable people as well, it's a false sense of security, and you think you can fix somebody as well. I mean, I'm sure many of you, or some of you, have kind of also moved away from this sort of thinking, as when you feel that you can fix somebody, it's because you actually need to be needed. All right, which is a kind of negative form of being in a relationship. It says here anyway, it's time for a relationship to shift. It doesn't work trying to fix somebody. Each person must be accountable for his or her own healing, which is a wonderful card to get. All right, so I think it's also very much in keeping here. You know, you can be seen as being really amazing and stuff without actually having to sort of control somebody or hold on to a relationship by feeling that you can, you know, it's a false sense of security, it's a false sense of success as well. So just know that some of you could be actually in the situation when you really can see, you know, what this, you know, the whole point of Venus retrograde is, if you're observant enough and paying attention to the conversations you're having and the dynamic you're feeling or the energy you're feeling, is perhaps you've gotten tired also of being the person who can fix a relationship, and maybe it's time to move on from that, or even allow the other person to step up and do what's required for them. You know, so if they've got a drinking habit or any other kind of you know, any kind of addictions or anything like that, okay, that it is up to them to do their own work. Okay, you can certainly encourage them, but you can't take, you know, you can take the horse to drink water, but you can't get them to drink the water, so to speak. So for some of you, this is very much about, you know, the idea of you really got to just release people and let them do their own work. Okay, in the meantime, go with the flow. Some of you actually really could do, I'm going to just go here, fear of change and resentment. So okay, I'm looking at the three here as an extra support cards here. I would, if you're in the situation that you've got used to fixing somebody, just start focusing on your creativity. Okay, I've had many people in the past, when I do readings as well, that all the fixation goes towards the partner, the other half, whether you're male or female. You know, you're towards your husband, or you know, and it's always about them. Okay, you know, you're worried about what they would say, how they would react, what they would do, and I always bring it back to yourself. So I always recommend, firstly and foremost, start doing something creative for yourself. Okay, right? Because by doing that as well, it says here, let your imagination soar, stay open to all creative ideas about how to pursue a dream or solve a problem. Again, sometimes it's just about letting go, and by focusing on yourself, you allow yourself to be removed from the focus from the other person, and you allow something to come through for you. Maybe that is an inspirational idea. Okay, because sometimes, again, we can get too fixated on a situation where then suddenly we're controlling every dynamic, every situation, by holding on too tightly. So it could be, I think somebody else got that as well, which I recall saying that do look at all, you know, the other videos that hopefully have some you know, placing for you. It might speak to you there as well. But I do feel that for some of you, that form of control is because you're afraid to change things up in your own life, and sometimes we focus too much on the other person, and in essence what it does is it creates resentments as well. Okay, so if any of you are feeling this sense of resentment, that I always do too much, or it's always me who does this, that and the other, again, it's really you that's making that happen, and you're the one who needs to pull back. And I do feel also a really good key message here for any of you Taurians. It says the universe is reminding you that you are cared for always, whether you're afraid of change in your job, your health, or your relationship. If you fear aging or death, repeat the affirmation, I have faith that all is well. Okay, I would say fear in changing as well, okay, which was this card here as well. Sometimes taking a step forward can seem hugely massive like that, but in fact it's just taking the first small steps towards change that will help us to take us to a better, brighter future. So Taurus, I'm going to leave the card reading, this part of the card reading here, and I'm going to just give you another bonus card. Again, this is all different now. I'm really mixing it up for you guys, and I'm going to choose a card from Louise Hay's deck. It says here, life supports me. So this could be your mantra, really. All right. It says here, life created me to be fulfilled. I trust life, and life is always there at every turn. I am safe. All right. And again, you know, we're always trying to hold on and fix somebody when we feel actually unsafe, because somehow we feel that if they're not the way they are, we can't be who we really need to be, because we've got used to being in that dynamic with somebody, and that's actually quite scary to let go of. All right, so in some way we could also be holding on to an identity of ourselves that got the relationship together initially, that maybe became the enabler, the supporter, the person who kind of like, oh, I'll take care of you. And of course that builds resentments, especially after so many years or for a long time. And you find that you're always doing the work, and you're always the one who's kind of like stepping up and doing things. So I do feel for whoever this is speaking to, for some of you, just know that like you are supported by making this change. You do need to make this change, and just know that life supports you. Again, I'll read it one more time. Life created me to be fulfilled. I trust life, and life is always there at every turn. I am safe. So, and I will also say, I mean, it's not a chakra card, but I am going to say focus on your heart as well. This is very much a green card. And when you're in your heart as well, you know how to embrace the love for yourself. It comes down to self-worth and self-love, okay? And when you start trusting yourself in your heart, you also embrace the trust that life has your back fully, and you actually embody it, okay? Because it's not something you can really think of unless you're really wearing that sense of love of the divine in yourself. All right, so really concentrate on the heart chakra, you guys. All right, this will really help. And you know, look up any YouTube sound. The sound ah is also really helpful, just to release any fear. If you go ah really loudly, that will also help to support you and release any negative fear or concerns you might have. All right, Taurus, I'm going to leave it here. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and thanks for all the new subscribers who have recently subscribed to my channel. Welcome. You know, I love it that you're here, and I really truly hope that you continue to get something out of these readings. Lots of love, and I'll catch you next time. Bye for now. Bye.